What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into the brand new issue number 1 of City Boy, as we continue on with the dawn of DC, bringing us brand new titles, bringing us new characters, and reviving some old characters, giving us some new stories. With this story written by Greg Pak, City Boy had been first seen in Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special. We saw him again in Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn. That gave us our first introduction to the new Korean superhero by the name of City Boy, aka Cameron Kim. And if you guys know anything about Jack Hawksmoor, you'll see that there are stunning similarities between the two of them. In the Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special, we saw the two of them facing off against one another. And then in Lazarus Planet, we saw really City Boy's powers were amplified because of the Lazarus resin, because of that Lazarus rain that was falling down. And so now we're really going to get an origin story. We're going to find out exactly where City Boy comes from, what all of these powers mean, and what he is going to be doing inside the DC landscape. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so we're diving into the dawn of DC, and there are actually a bunch of number 1 issues we have yet to get to. But I promise you, they are coming. They have just been dropping so many titles from Superboy to Shazam to Cyborg, but all of this is going to be covered here in the near future. But as we dive into City Boy, we are picking up with his origins. In Metropolis back in the day, we see that he is with his mother. And while for this little boy it seemed like a regular day, he was going to see his grandfather. But what he didn't know is that his mother was going to leave him. She got in the cab and she left without saying a word. Because like any good DC story, you cannot start it off without an orphan. Or at least orphan adjacent. But that's what takes us to present day. We have Cameron that is walking down the road. And as he does so, we see an old panhandler, a homeless man that ends up following him. Because this homeless man has watched him. He has seen that Cameron has a unique ability. He seems to be able to just find things in the city. He finds the things that no one else can see. That is because of his unique ability. He is able to talk to the city. Now, like I said earlier on, if you know who Jack Hawksmoor is, he's an individual that can talk to cities, because cities have a consciousness. And so this power set is unique in the way that they can talk to the city, and the city will talk back to them. Every lamppost, every wall, every street corner, everything that you could think of inside of a city, this guy can manipulate. As he is making his way down the road, that's where he starts digging into the ground and he finds money. Him and the homeless man splitting this money. But this is when we see a gangster show up. This is the local muscle. These guys take a percentage of everybody, whether it be a homeless man or whether it be Cameron. They strong-arm the poor, the hungry, the helpless. And so when the homeless man and Cameron try to walk away, we see these thugs come at them. And Cameron, not wanting any trouble, he tries to walk away. But Boss Chung goes on to let us know that this is his territory. That if you are going to walk on these streets, you are going to pay a tax. That he is going to get his cut or he is going to cut you. And while today Cameron gives up his cut, he knows very easily he could bring that entire street down on this boss. He could tear this street wide open, but instead he goes into hiding. He is running from clowns, running from himself, because he remembers how all of this began. That's what takes us to 10 years ago. He was hungry, he was alone. Looking for any door that might be open, he snuck into a laboratory, hoping that maybe there was food, maybe something he could steal so he could sell it. This is where he sees a doctor doing some experiments, having the suit and ties here, more than likely trying to get funding for whatever experiment he has going on. Now, this scientist has long believed that a system as complicated as a city, it should be properly understood as a living organism. And now he has the proof. After 12 years of experimentation, he has created a machine. It serves as a point of access to the living consciousness of a city. Today is their first attempt at communicating with this consciousness. That is why he has brought the suits and ties here. Architects, engineers, criminal masterminds, city planners, politicians, Everybody that has something to do with this city. No one that knows the city better than these guys. And now that they are trying to bond with this consciousness, they will become the masters of the city. But when he turns this machine on, it lashes out in all directions. And we see this lashing out, it ends up hitting Cameron. But it doesn't hurt him. The consciousness connecting with Cameron's mind, it begins to talk to him. Because it knows who he is. It knows who he is from the gutters, from the garbage, from the tunnels, the back doors. This is where we see Cameron kind of sinking into what looks like quicksand. As he falls into the floor, the city is bringing him down. It is almost like it's absorbing him. That's what takes us back to present day, with him waking up and having that homeless man here. The homeless man being Fujimoto. It appears that he has found himself an ally, or at least somebody who is not a horrible person trying to get over on him. But the thing is, Cameron isn't looking for a friend. In fact, Cameron gives him all the money he has and tells him to stay away, because he is getting what he needs out of the city, and then he is leaving. This is where we see him make his way around the city, finding small things here and there, whether it be a camera, a watch, some AirPods, just anything that is worth any kind of money that he might be able to sell. But when he heads back to his little hideout, we see that the boss is here. We see that Fujimoto is here, and they have given him one heck of a beating. Cameron hasn't been giving the cut, as they even get more violent with this old man, with this homeless man. Cameron tries to bargain, he tries to plead, giving every single dollar he has over to the boss just to ensure that this guy doesn't get hurt. But the boss is letting us know that Cameron isn't allowed to leave, that he now works for the boss. While this is ongoing, we are getting small glimpses of the past as well, as the guards pull him out of the floor, the scientist saying that he is going to be huge in figuring out what comes next, saying that the city chose him. They hook him up to some kind of device. We see the electricity surging through his skull. In other panels, we see that Cameron is trying to run away from the boss in current day. As the thugs grab hold, we see them slit the throat of that homeless man. And in that moment, all of his past trauma, it comes swarming back into his mind. The moment his mother left, the moment he was hooked up to that chair having electricity course through his body, taking all of these punches in present day. At this point, he has finally had enough. And so when people ask him what makes a city, the people living and thriving, suffering and dying, as long as they keep coming and going, the city doesn't care. But Cameron does. This is where in present day, the room we see, it begins to twist up. The walls turning, the ceiling coming down, the floor coming up, as City Boy is manipulating this whole situation with these thugs. A few city blocks away, we have Mr. Mannheim. The energy surge that was just put out by him using his power. These guys have detected it. Intergang has detected it. And they have finally found the kid that they have been looking for. And we learned that Intergang has been looking for City Boy, not because they want him, but because Darkseid wants him. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Alright, so I got a couple of thoughts on this. First off, I think it's a great start. I think it's enjoyable. The introduction of Darkseid being the nemesis right off the bat is a lot of fun. That for some reason, Darkseid wants him. And we can only speculate on why, but this guy has an immense amount of power. He can literally talk to the city's consciousness. This is no small feat. This is not your everyday power and ability. And so we can only imagine what Darkseid wants to do with this kind of power. But so far it's off to a good start. You know, it does a good job on giving some representation on the Asian community. It does a good job of highlighting his origin, where he came from. You know, like every DC story or comic book story, it has to do with some kind of boy being orphaned or girl being orphaned, whichever it may be. In this case, it's obviously a boy, Cameron Kim. But what I'm a little disappointed on is that we're not using Hawksmoor. It feels like this is almost just simply replacing Jack Hawksmoor, affiliated with Stormwatch, also called the King of Cities. I don't feel like it was absolutely necessary to create another character that does the same thing that he does. You could have simply carried on his story and revived him in the dawn of DC. And when I mean by revive him is I mean you bring him back into the spotlight, because we've gotten him here and there. I think the most recent thing that I remember was during Swamp Thing, which is actually a story that we didn't finish, and now I really want to get back to it. But it is sad to see him replaced. I only hope that we get to see him later on down the line, that he may be able to mentor City Boy in some way, shape, or form. That would make me a lot happier than seeing just City Boy being the one and only in the DC landscape. But this is only issue number 1, so there is a huge possibility that we could see Hawksmoor yet again. Nonetheless, I'm willing to give Greg Pak the opportunity to truly see where this story takes us, especially with the introduction of Darkseid. There is a lot of potential here, and I am very excited to see where it's gonna go. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this story, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything related to Dawn of DC. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you're getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.